The body quits before the mind does. Every time. When your legs are burning, when your lungs are on fire, when every signal your nervous system can generate is screaming at you to stop, your body is not actually at its limit. It is at the limit your mind has decided to accept. The body is simply executing the decision your brain made first. Navy SEALs know this. It is not a motivational idea for them. It is an operational reality they train around, a fact so well understood within SEAL culture that their entire mental training system is built on one foundational premise. The mind is the primary battlefield, and it must be trained with the same deliberate intensity as the body. What follows is how they do it, and how you apply it to the war you are fighting in your own life, whatever that war looks like right now. The first thing to understand is the 40% rule. When your mind tells you that you are done, that you cannot continue, that you have hit your limit, you are at approximately 40% of your actual capacity. Not 60. Not 80. 40. The alarm your brain sends when effort becomes painful is a protective signal, not an accurate report of remaining capacity. Your brain generates that signal early, conservatively, because its primary job is to keep you alive, and it does not distinguish between the discomfort of a hard workout and the danger of a genuine threat. SEAL candidates discover this during BUD/S training, the 6-month selection course with a typical attrition rate above 80%. The candidates who quit are not, in most cases, the physically weakest ones. They are the ones who believed the alarm. They heard the signal that said this is the limit and accepted it as truth. The candidates who continue are the ones who have developed the mental habit of recognizing the alarm and choosing to move through it anyway, knowing that 60% of their capacity still remains on the other side of the discomfort signal. This applies directly to the moments in your own life when you feel like stopping. The moment you want to quit the workout 15 minutes early. The moment you want to abandon the project because it has become harder than you expected. The moment you want to walk away from the discipline practice because today it feels pointless. At every one of those moments, you are at 40%. The alarm is going off, and the only question is whether you believe it. Training your mind like a SEAL begins with one habit. When the alarm fires, pause for 3 seconds before responding to it. Do not immediately comply. Do not immediately resist. Pause. In those 3 seconds, remind yourself of what you actually know. This is the 40% signal, not the true limit. Then decide consciously whether to stop, rather than letting the alarm decide for you automatically. The second tool is called mental segmentation, and it is one of the most practically powerful techniques in the entire SEAL mental training system. When you are facing a task, a challenge, or a period of suffering that feels too large to hold in your mind as a single object, you break it into segments so small that your brain can process each one without triggering the overwhelm response that causes people to quit. SEAL instructors use a specific phrase for this: just get to the next meal. Not through Hell Week. Not through the next 3 days. Just to the next meal. The 6-hour block between now and the next meal is the only thing that exists. When that meal arrives, the next segment begins, and that is the only thing that exists then. This is not a trick. It is a neurological intervention. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for sustained goal-directed behavior, has a limited capacity for processing future uncertainty. When you hold the full scope of a long, painful, uncertain task in your mind, the prefrontal cortex struggles to generate the motivation to continue because the end is too far away to feel real. But the next meal is real. The next hour is real. The next step is real. Breaking the task into segments brings the endpoint close enough for your brain to aim at it. Apply this immediately to whatever you are currently avoiding or struggling to sustain. You do not have to finish the entire project today. You have to work on it for the next 45 minutes. You do not have to maintain perfect discipline for the rest of your life. You have to maintain it until you go to sleep tonight. You do not have to run the full distance. You have to reach the next lamppost. The segment is real. The full task is an abstraction. Your brain performs significantly better when it is pursuing something real. The third technique is visualization, but not the soft, passive version of visualization that gets discussed in popular self-help content. SEAL operators use what is called combat visualization or stress inoculation imagery. Before a mission, before a selection event, before any high-pressure performance situation, they rehearse the scenario mentally in complete detail, including the parts that go wrong. Not just the successful outcome. The moment when something unexpected happens. The moment when the plan fails. The moment when they are cold, exhausted, and the situation has deteriorated and they still have to function. The purpose of this rehearsal is not to build confidence through imagining success. The purpose is to pre-build neural pathways for the exact stressful moments when clear thinking is hardest. When the real moment arrives, the brain recognizes it. Not as a crisis requiring an emergency response, but as a known scenario already rehearsed. The physiological stress response is reduced. Decision quality under pressure is higher. The person who has already lived through the difficult moment mentally is significantly better equipped to navigate it in reality. You can use this technique for your own high-pressure situations. Before a difficult conversation, a performance review, a presentation, a competition, or any moment where you know your stress response is likely to reduce your effectiveness, spend 5 minutes visualizing the scenario in full, including the moment it becomes uncomfortable, the moment you feel the urge to back down or quit, and what you choose to do in that moment. Rehearse the decision before you have to make it. When the moment arrives, you will have already made it once. The fourth principle is what SEAL training calls Big Four mental skills, and the third of those 4 skills is the one most people never develop: self-talk control. Research conducted with Navy SEAL candidates found that the candidates who succeeded in training used a significantly different internal dialogue than the candidates who quit. The successful candidates had developed the habit of generating specific, directed, positive self-talk at moments of extreme stress, not vague encouragement but precise, task-focused instruction. You have done this before. Keep your form. One more rep. Breathe. Stay on the task. The candidates who quit were typically running an uncontrolled internal narrative during stress, one that spiraled toward global conclusions. This is impossible. You are not built for this. You should not be here. Notice the difference. The successful candidates talk to themselves about the immediate task. The unsuccessful candidates talk to themselves about their identity and their future and whether they were capable at a fundamental level. Your internal dialogue during difficulty is not random. It is a habit. And like all habits, it can be changed deliberately. Start by noticing what you actually say to yourself when things get hard. Most people have never examined this. They have a running internal commentary they have never chosen or evaluated, and that commentary is running their performance outcomes without their knowledge or consent. When you notice your internal dialogue spiraling toward global conclusions about your identity or your capability, interrupt it immediately. Replace it with a task-specific instruction. Not a motivational affirmation. A specific, immediate, actionable instruction. Breathe. Next step. Keep moving. Finish this set. The specificity is what makes it work. Vague encouragement does not interrupt the spiral. A precise instruction gives the brain something concrete to execute. The fifth and final principle is perhaps the one that separates SEAL mental training most sharply from how most people think about mental toughness. SEALs do not train to eliminate fear. They train to perform in the presence of fear. This distinction matters enormously. Most people unconsciously believe that the goal of mental toughness development is to reach a state where difficult things no longer feel difficult, where fear no longer arises, where discomfort no longer registers. They are waiting to feel ready. They are waiting for the fear to go away before they move. SEAL training produces the opposite of this. It repeatedly places candidates in situations where fear is unavoidable and asks them to function anyway. Not to suppress the fear. Not to eliminate it. To operate alongside it. To feel it fully and continue doing the task. The fear does not go away. The relationship with fear changes. Fear becomes a signal that something important is happening, not a command to stop. Apply this to your own life by changing the question you ask yourself at moments of fear or discomfort. The standard question is, how do I stop feeling this? The SEAL question is, can you feel this and continue anyway? In almost every case, the honest answer is yes. The discomfort you feel before the hard conversation, before the difficult workout, before the task you have been avoiding, is real, but it is not disabling. You are capable of feeling it and continuing. The only thing preventing you from doing so is the unconscious belief that the feeling must be resolved before action is possible. It does not need to be resolved. It needs to be present while you act. You do not need a BUD/S selection course to train your mind the way SEALs train theirs. You need the same principles applied to the terrain of your own life. Know that you are at 40% when the alarm fires. Segment the task until the next milestone is small enough to be real. Visualize the difficult moment before it arrives. Control the specific words of your internal dialogue at moments of stress. And learn to feel fear, discomfort, and resistance without interpreting any of them as a reason to stop. The body quits before the mind does. Every time. Which means the mind is always the deciding factor. Train it accordingly. The hard thing you are facing right now is not beyond you. Your brain decided it was before your actual capacity had anything to say about it. Override the decision. Continue.